This is PharmaForum web editor Nicole Raleigh, and I'm on site in Chicago at ASCO 2025. And with me right now is Christine Roth, Executive Vice President of Global Product Strategy and Commercialization at Bayer. A pleasure to speak with you.
Likewise.
So Bayer has announced new data from recent clinical trials that highlight significant advancements in both prostate cancer and women's health at ASCO. Firstly, though, Christine, I was wondering if you could set the scene for us when it comes to the as yet unmet needs in those areas, prostate cancer and women's health or oncological.
Why don't we start with prostate cancer then?
Okay.
A man who's been diagnosed with prostate cancer today has many more treatment options than perhaps they had 10 years ago, but there's still significant unmet needs. So men are living longer with prostate cancer and they're living healthier. Many of them are still working. And so traditional older therapies often can interfere with quality of life and in aspects like cognition and the fear of falling that is important for men who are still working. So there's still a significant unmet medical need for agents that don't negatively impact quality of life. As well as men are living longer, they can move on to later lines of therapy and potential combination therapy. And so I'd say those are two of the areas of largest unmet medical need. And of course at Bayer, we have a very significant presence in prostate cancer with two products, Nubeqa and Xofigo. And so while we're here at ASCO this week, Nubeqa is presenting data from the ARANOTE study focused on quality of life. Again, preserving or not negatively impacting quality of life in men who are undergoing, whether a man is taking concomitant chemotherapy, as in the ARASENSE data, or the ARANOTE study is specifically for men who are not undergoing chemotherapy along with their Nubeqa therapy. So it's a very promising data set to reassure physicians and patients alike that they can take Nubeqa with or without chemotherapy and not have a negative impact on quality of life.
Brilliant. And then in women's oncological health?
Yes, so we're very excited to have a women's health presence at ASCO for the very first time. And this story is actually very near and dear to my heart because my mother was a woman that I'm going to describe who we're presenting data on this week. So elinzanetant is a product that we have in development, soon to be approved, we hope, for women undergoing or who are in menopause who suffer from vasomotor symptoms of menopause like hot flashes. So, the landscape for gynecologic cancers, typically breast and ovarian cancer, again, many treatment options. The patient populations are getting further and further segmented based on their biomarkers. So, for example, in the large proportion of women with breast cancer who are HER2 negative, HR positive, as part of their ongoing treatment, they often take long-term endocrine therapy. And for most women, that kind of knocks them into almost an instant menopausal state. And so we have a product in development for women who are in menopause experiencing vasomotor symptoms like hot flashes. And in the OASIS-4 study, which we're presenting here at ASCO, we studied the women who were undergoing endocrine therapy that kind of pushes them into that menopausal state. And as reported before, top-line data shows that the OASIS-4 study met all of its primary endpoints, in essence showing a significant reduction in the severity and frequency of hot flashes in these women who find themselves, menopausal-like because of the endocrine therapy that they're undergoing for their breast cancer.
Brilliant news. And I believe it's the first time that Bayer's presented on women's health.
Yes.
No. Excellent. Okay, so let's break some of it down. Let's explore some of the data. So Nubeqa, or darolutamide, has been shown to improve quality of life for metastatic castration-sensitive prostate cancer, or MCSPC. So can you tell us more about that phase 3 data from the ARANOTE trial?
Right. So the ARANOTE study, again, is a study in men who are undergoing monotherapy with Nubeqa. And again, the previous study, ARASENSE, was a combination with chemotherapy. So now we have kind of the 1-2 option for physicians and patients. You can either use Nubeqa with or without chemotherapy. And again, an important secondary set of endpoints was on impact on quality of life. So this data shows that Nubeqa does not significantly impact quality of life. Again, for these men who are still working, oftentimes, who still have a lot of life to live and would like to have a treatment option which offers them the opportunity to, as we say, continue to do the things that they love with the people that they love.
Yeah, exactly. No, and this focus on quality of life as well as quantity of life is something being much discussed, as if it needs discussing, but it is being much discussed at ASCO this year.
Well, and it's interesting because another theme that has emerged of late is the concern around the number of younger people who are being diagnosed with some pretty serious cancers like colorectal cancer. And when you think about these younger patients with effective treatment, they're likely to survive and be undergoing cancer treatment for a very long period of time. So one of our key areas of focus at Bayer is to focus not just on the science of delivering innovation in the efficacy of a product, but also to try to find ways to make that medicine kinder and gentler on patients who may be taking therapy for a lot longer period of time. So whether that means exploring lower doses or extended treatment intervals, but anything that might make it easier for a patient who's going to endure a 20, 30-year period of cancer therapy is something that we're very dedicated to as well.
No, exactly. It makes perfect sense when you put it like that, with that landscape before them. So turning now to combination data, and that of, and I pardon the pronunciation, Xofigo, which is radium-223 dichloride. The data there has shown clinical benefits in this area, the metastatic castration-sensitive prostate cancer, with bone metastases. So what can you tell us about that phase 3 data in the PEACE-3 trial?
PEACE-3, yes. So this is a subset analysis from the PEACE-3 study, which is still ongoing for the final overall survival analysis. But the PEACE-3 study was actually the first study to demonstrate improved survival in this patient population, which is very important. But this specific study looks at PSA. So as we all know, PSA, prostate-specific antigen, is a marker both of prostate cancer risk, and it can also be a marker of prostate cancer progression. And so this study, this subgroup analysis was important to make sure that we didn't see any PSA increase in this patient population as they underwent the combination therapy. And the quite contrary was true. We've actually seen a PSA decrease, which is reassuring to patients and clinicians as they go with their therapy.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the mess up the name. Moving to women's health.
Oh yes, this one's a hard one, so I'll give you a pass. Elinzanetant.
Yes. No, I was just going to say. So we've sort of explained, or you've explained rather, that it has very beneficial effects on the vasomotor symptoms in those patients who have HR positive breast cancer. But I believe that the data it's going to be presented, but it's soon to be published, or has it already been published?
Yes, soon to be published in a very prestigious medical journal.
Okay, is that all we can say today?
That's all we can say today.
That's
the
fine.
data are embargoed until
no,
Monday.
absolutely.
Yeah. But it will be a simultaneous presentation and publication.
Okay, excellent. So, as was probably made clear by that question, we are speaking quite early on in the Congress, which brings me to my final question today. What's the most promising research you think we'll see presented this year at ASCO, which could very well change the oncological practice of the next 2 to 3 years?
So, it's not every ASCO that we have truly breakthrough practice-changing data. It's rare when you have, more than one event like that. And I think the practice-changing potential of data that will be presented at ASCO this year has more to do with novel combinations. And we'll see some early data on what is becoming kind of the next holy grail, if you will. I was fortunate enough to work in the very early days of immuno-oncology, pioneering ways to find, to harness your own immune system to fight cancer. And we made significant progress, and we brought us a group of products to market called the checkpoint inhibitors. But the checkpoint inhibitors only work in less than half of patients, and the durability of that benefit isn't as long as we would like to see. So there's been a lot of effort in looking for ways to either extend the benefit of these checkpoint inhibitors or find combination therapies that are effective for use. And we haven't found too many of these combinations that are really breakthrough opportunities for patients. But I think there's some early science that looks at perhaps the better strategy for IO combinations is when you can combine with agents that either affect the tumor microenvironment or shut down parallel biological systems that interfere with the efficacy of the checkpoint inhibitor. So, you know, we have a program in our own early pipeline called PRNT5, which is seeking to do just that. So beyond that, I think combinations with ADCs and immuno-oncology agents, we're still waiting for that next big cell therapy breakthrough in solid tumors, I would say. But that may be a ways out as well. So I don't see any majorly practice-changing data at this Congress, but, you know, sometimes those big announcements are built on the small steps that start early in the pipeline and people start exploring combinations. And I think you'll hear a lot of that data at this year's ASCO.
Brilliant. On the precipice of future breakthroughs there. Thank you very much, Christine.
Nice way to put it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.